Shalom Yeladim. Very exciting. We're up to our 11th parasha, Parashat Vayigash. So let's go straight to it. Last week we were talking about how Yosef's brothers were on their way out, and Yosef told his servant to put the special cup, the silver cup, in Binyamin's bag, and the security officer stopped them. He brought them back to the palace, and Yosef wanted to take Binyamin as a slave and send all the brothers back. And all the brothers were crying and crying and crying, please don't take Binyamin, we'll stay over here, let Binyamin go. And Yosef said no. And we start this week's parasha. Yehuda, the fourth brother, comes up to Yosef and he starts crying. And he says, look, let me speak to you a second. First, you called us spies. We're not spies. We came back, we tried to pay money, and you did this. Now, the whole thing with the cup, listen, that's not us. And if you really want to make Binyamin slave, I'll work for you. I'm a better slave. Yosef said, no, I want Binyamin. Look, we have an old father. He's very, very old. His name is Yaakov. If Yosef doesn't come back, and now Binyamin doesn't come back, it's going to be really, really bad. He might get hurt. Yosef heard that his father might get hurt. He started to cry. And he told everyone to get out of the room. Everyone, get out. He didn't want to embarrass his brothers. He didn't want to hurt their feelings when he was telling them that he was Yosef. He told everyone, you wait till everyone came out. The room was empty except for him and his brothers. And all of a sudden, he took off his mask and he told them, I am Yosef. Is my father still alive? And the brothers were so embarrassed. They couldn't say anything. They were in shock. How could that be Yosef? And Yosef told them, please don't get scared. I'm not angry. See, when you sent me down, you wanted to get rid of me. But Hashem wanted me to end up in Egypt so I can be the king and help everyone get food. You thought you were doing something bad, and Hashem turned it to something good. You thought you were hurting me. Hashem ended up making me the king, and now I want to help everyone. It's so clear that Hashem sent me here so I can be the king and help everyone. I want you to go back to Eretz Israel and get our father Yaakov. Finally, he gave his brothers hugs, kisses. He saw Binyamin and they cried on each other, and they cried and they cried and they cried, but they weren't sad crying. It was crying out of happiness. They were so happy to see one another. And he gave them presents, and he gave them food, and he gave them wagons, and told them, I want you to go back to our father Yaakov and bring him down, the whole family, and this way I'll be able to take care of you until this hunger finishes. So they go back all the way up to Eretz Israel, and before they could go into to Yaakov's tent, little Sarah, everyone see Sarah? That's Yaakov's granddaughter. She's Asher's daughter. She said to her brothers, she said to her uncles and her father, you can't just walk in like that. You can't surprise old people. It's very, very dangerous. If something happened, to them, it can be very, very dangerous. So she took her violin, some say it was a harp, we're not sure, and she went in and she started singing. She said, Grandpa Yaakov, can I sing you a song? She said, and he said, yeah. And she started singing. Od Yosef, hi, Yosef is still alive, he's a king in Egypt. Yosef is still alive, he's a king in Egypt. And Yaakov said, what? Because Grandpa, let me sing it for you again. Od Yosef, hi, he's a king in Egypt. Od Yosef, hi, he's a king in Egypt. And Yaakov asked, hey, what's going on? And she said, Grandpa, didn't you hear? Go outside and check. So Yaakov went out and he saw wagons, cows, donkeys, wine, food, everything great from Egypt. And he remembered Yosef. He remembered the Torah they learned together. And he asked, what's going on? And his children told him, didn't you hear Sarah? Didn't you hear your granddaughter on the violin? She said, Yosef is still alive. He's a king in Egypt, and he wants us all to come back. So Yaakov took 70 people, and he came down from Eretz Israel to Egypt. And Hashem came to Yaakov in a dream, and he said, Yaakov, don't worry about going to Egypt. I'm going to take good care of you. And he sent Yehuda to go down to Egypt. Why did he send them down? First, so he could build a yeshiva, a school, so the little children could learn Torah. Because everywhere Jewish people go, we have to learn Torah. We have to learn. That's the first thing we do. And that's why when our families came from Syria, from Egypt, from Lebanon, from Morocco, they came to America, the first thing they did, they built a school. It's called Magen David Yeshiva. This is how it used to look like when I was in school. This is how it looks like now. That's the big school, the elementary school. And this is how our early childhood center looks like, because we know, our community knows, wherever we go, the most important thing is that we have to continue learning Torah. Finally, Yaakov comes to Egypt. Yosef gets up from his big chair, from his king chair, and he comes and he runs up to his daddy and he gives him a big hug. And instead of Yaakov coming to the king came to Yaakov, because that's how we respect parents. See, when daddy comes home from work, when mommy comes home, we don't just stay on the iPad. We don't look at our phone. We don't look at the TV. No, we run up and we give them a big hug because we miss them so much, because we know they do so much for us. That's the right way. When daddy comes home from shul Friday night, you give him a big hug and say Shabbat Shalom. When mommy comes home from the store, you run and you help her with the bags. It's so important. Finally, Yosef said, Daddy, I want you to meet someone important. This is Paro. He's the king. Paro looked at Yaakov and he said, wow, you look so old. How old are you? And he said, I'm 130 years old. Wow, that's so old. 130 years old? And Yaakov said, yeah, I'm 130 years old. So Paro said, can I please have a beracha? Because Paro knows whenever you see someone old, you should ask for a beracha. So Yaakov said, okay, no problem. I'll give you a beracha. Follow me to the river. The river was gone. All of a sudden, when Yaakov got there, it started to flow again. You remember, for years and years and years, there was no food, there was no water. When Yaakov got to the river, it started to flow, and he gave Paro beracha that the hunger, the famine should be over, and there's going to be food from now on. And within just a short time, the water came. They were able to water the entire Egypt, and it was grass again, fruits and vegetables, and the hunger was over. We'll stop right here. Shalom Yeladim.